Okay, I'm making this video because I saw another guy on YouTube who had gone through a lot of trouble to get that headlamp assembly out of there to change the bulb. He had removed both the front wheels, had it up off the ground, removed the closeout panels, inner fenders, and the entire front bumper fascia. Now that doesn't necessarily have to happen. You can actually get to the one screw that's hidden behind the fascia, which is right in this area here somewhere, by removing the one screw holding it back here, unclipping it, and flexing it out to get to it. So I'll demonstrate that. And then the other two screws, there's one right here, and then there's another one underneath this panel here. And I'll show you those. First we have to remove this cover here. Now usually there's several fasteners holding it. There's usually one here as well as here. I only have one in it at the moment. They tend to break, so I haven't replaced them all yet. And you basically pull the middle section out first, and then they can usually be removed pretty easily like that. And these can be bought at a typical store, you know, like an AutoZone or someplace. Okay, then we have a little bumper here which has a Phillips screw in it, and there's one on each side, and then there's also another one of those same retainers I talked about on either end. So these also have to be removed. There's one in the middle and one on the other side. You probably don't have to remove the two on this side if you're only replacing one bulb. If you're going to do both bulbs, then you probably need to remove the bumper here as well and the other retainer. Once those have been removed, if you flex this grill back just a little bit, you can see there's one of the other screws. So you have a total of three. One there, one up here, and then the third one, which we'll get to in just a moment on the side. Okay, to get to that, we've got to move this inner fender out. Now in some cases, they come out pretty easily. Sometimes you might have to fight them a little bit. The goal here is just to separate it from the fascia enough to gain access to this one screw right, so we can get it in focus, this screw right here, and that holds the corner of your fascia in place. It's a 10 millimeter, so let me get that removed. Oops, stop it. That's okay. Alright, once that's removed, you can actually flex the inner fascia out. Now, it's held also by some little snap latches, so if you give it a firm pull, it will pull out. You're not breaking it. You can see the hole that was held by that screw. And if we continue to pull it outward, if we look up inside here, it's kind of way up by the front. Again, these are pretty flexible. See if I can see that screw. It is right here, just out of sight. I got my fingertip on it there. I don't know if you can see it from this angle. That's the other 10 millimeter screw that holds the headlamp assembly on. To gain access to that, you don't really have much of a straight shot on it. So you can usually use a small 1/4 inch drive ratchet, and I usually use a deep socket, which puts it just about the right distance. So we remove this screw. And this avoids having to take the wheels off and the wheel wells and removing the entire fascia. It just saves a little time. Probably the correct way to do it is the way that the other videos show, removing the entire fascia, but I'm kind of lazy. Don't want to take anything more apart than I absolutely have to. And because these fascias are made to flex, you're not going to hurt it by flexing it out like this. Okay? Hang on to these screws. All three of them are the same, but they are a shouldered bolt like this, so you may have difficulty finding a replacement if you lose one, so make sure you hang on to them. You will also have to remove this little intake assembly. Again, it's held by one of those same retainers we talked about. Okay, it just comes out of there. And then you can gain access to some of the connectors. You're going to find that many of these connectors will be difficult to remove until you have actually pulled this assembly up and out a little bit. And again, you're going to have to pull it past the fascia, so you may have to pull it back and flex it a little bit to get the headlamp assembly past it. Okay, I have flexed the front fascia a little bit and pulled the headlight assembly out now, where I can get to some of the connectors at the back. There are a total of, I believe, four connectors on the assembly that have to be removed, and they all have a little spring-loaded retainer. You got to squeeze that to pull them loose. You got to wiggle them a little bit. There's one here, one here, one here, kind of hidden out of sight, and then one way down on the bottom corner there. I take that back. There's actually 5. There's another one right here, which I didn't spot a moment ago. Okay, once the connectors are out, the entire headlight assembly can be removed. So you kind of have to pull it out at the top and then work it out from underneath the fascia, because there's these kind of tongues sticking out that interlock into the fascia. So you tilt it out and it comes undone from the fascia. And then you can gain access to the back of it. This large housing here rotates counterclockwise, and then you can gain access to the bulb underneath. It takes a little force to get it loose sometimes. They don't always come very easily. At least that's what I've found. Kind of hard to do this while I'm holding the camera. There we go. And now you can see the bulb. There's a spring-loaded retainer here that holds the bulb in. First you have to take this connector off. You see it's got an arrow on it, and it just unplugs from there. You got to rotate it. There's a little spring right here that kind of notches it into place. Work with me here. There we go. And then you have these 2 springs here. Undo them. Pull this out of the way. And now you can get to that extremely annoying headlight bulb. Now typically I like to buy products that are sold and made here in America. If you go to your local auto dealer, these things run anywhere from $100 to about $130 each. I'm sorry, that's a bit much. I found if you go on eBay, you can get a pair of these, 2 of them, for $13. They probably